Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English story. When I was younger, I thought happiness could be bought. Every time I got my paycheck, I felt a rush, not because I had earned it, but because I could finally spend it. I told myself that buying nice things meant I was doing well. New shoes, new clothes, new phone, new perfume. Each one made me feel proud for a moment. But that feeling never lasted long. By the next week, I was already chasing the next something. It was like running on a treadmill of desire, moving all the time, but never really getting anywhere. At first, I didn't see the problem. I thought this was what adulthood looked like. Work hard, spend hard, show others you're doing fine. But deep inside, I felt a quiet emptiness. I remember one Friday night, I had just bought an expensive jacket because I saw someone on Instagram wearing it. I stood in front of the mirror, waiting to feel confident. Instead, I just felt tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of buying things to impress people who probably weren't even looking. Tired of feeling poor no matter how much I earned. That night, I sat on my bed, looked at my wallet, and realized something painful. I wasn't spending money to make myself happy. I was spending to make myself look happy. And that kind of rich doesn't last. Sparkle's ending thought for part 1. That was the moment I began to question everything I believed about money, what it means, how it feels, and why it never seemed enough. Part 2, the gift that taught me what rich feels like. A few weeks after that empty Friday night, I went to visit my mom. She lived simply the same small house, the same old kitchen, the same soft smile that never changed. While I was sitting there, I noticed her sandals were worn out, the soles thin, the straps almost torn. I asked, "Mom, why don't you buy new ones?" She laughed softly. "It's okay. These are still fine. I'd rather save the money for something useful." Something about her answer hit me deeply. She wasn't being careless. She was being content. She didn't need much to be happy. She had peace inside her. And that peace was worth more than any luxury item I'd ever bought. That weekend, I went to the market and bought her a new pair of sandals. Nothing fancy. Just something comfortable and beautiful in her favorite color. When I gave them to her, she smiled with tears in her eyes and said, "You always think of me. Thank you." That moment it felt different. I didn't buy it to impress anyone. I didn't post it on social media. I didn't even expect anything in return. But I felt richer than ever. Because that money, those few dollars, carried meaning. It turned into love, warmth, and connection. That night, I asked myself a question I now use every time I want to spend money. Will this still make me happy 1 month from now? Most of the time, if the answer is no, I skip it. But giving, caring, creating memories, those things always last. Sparkle's ending thought for part 2. That small act of love taught me something no expensive thing ever could, that money feels richer when it's shared with meaning, not spent for attention. Part 3, learning to feel free, not just have more. After that day with my mom, something inside me started to shift. I began to notice how tired I always felt, not because I didn't have enough money, but because I was constantly chasing more. I worked extra hours, scrolled through sales late at night, and kept thinking, if I earn a little more, I'll finally feel secure. But strangely, The more I earned, the more I spent. I bought things to reward myself: a new phone, fancy food, clothes I barely wore. And every time I looked at my bank account, I felt that same emptiness again. One evening, I sat at my desk with a small notebook and wrote, "What if freedom isn't about having more, but needing less?" That question changed everything. I decided to start a small experiment. I called it my Freedom Fund. Every month, no matter how tight things were, I saved just a little, sometimes $10, sometimes even $5. It didn't seem like much, but after a few months, I noticed something surprising. I started to feel calmer, not because I suddenly became rich, but because I finally had control. That tiny bit of savings wasn't just money, it was peace. It was a small whisper in my head saying, "You don't have to panic. You have choices." And that was the first time I realized that feeling rich had nothing to do with numbers. It came from knowing I wasn't trapped by my next paycheck. Sparkle's ending thought for part 3. Sometimes, just having a small amount saved can make you sleep better than having a big salary that disappears too fast. Because true wealth is when you own your choices, not when your bills own you. Part 4. The Trap of Comparison. For a while, I felt proud of myself. I wasn't rich, but I was peaceful. My little freedom fund was growing, and I finally stopped buying things I didn't need. But one weekend, everything started to shake again. I met some old friends for dinner, the same friends I used to hang out with back in college. They arrived one by one, each carrying something new: an iPhone 15, designer bags, shiny watches, pictures from vacations in Singapore and Korea. At first, I smiled and said, "Wow, that's nice." But deep down, my heart began to sink. Suddenly, I felt small again. My second-hand phone looked old. My simple clothes looked plain. Even my calmness felt like less. That night, when I came home, I opened my online shopping app just to look. But we both know how that story goes. I almost bought a $200 watch I didn't even like. Then I stopped. I remembered my mom's smile. I remembered that feeling when I handed her that small gift. And I whispered to myself, "You're not behind. You're just living differently." So I closed the app, went to bed, and instead of counting what I didn't have, I listed 3 things I already did. 1. My mom's laughter. 2. My own health. 3. The quiet peace that money can't buy. And somehow, I slept deeply that night. Sparkle's ending thought for part 4. Comparison is like a thief. It steals your peace and replaces it with pressure. But when you practice gratitude, you remember that real wealth is already around you, quietly, waiting to be noticed. Part 5. Finding joy in the simple things. After that night, something inside me finally softened. I realized that happiness didn't have to wait until I became rich. It could start right where I was. So, I began to live more simply, not because I was forced to, but because I chose to. I started making coffee at home instead of buying one every morning. I took morning walks with music instead of paying for a gym I never went to. I spent Sunday evenings cooking dinner with my mom instead of scrolling online stores. And you know what surprised me most? The more I simplified, the richer I felt. There was more quiet in my mind, more gratitude in my heart, more space to breathe. I wasn't chasing more anymore. I was enjoying enough. Sometimes I still dream about a bigger life, a nicer apartment, maybe a trip abroad one day. But now I understand. Those things are extra, not necessary. Real wealth isn't in the things you can buy, it's in the peace you feel when you stop needing so much to be happy. Sparkle's final thought. You don't have to live richly to feel rich. You just need to love what you already have and let your money serve your life, not control it. That's it for today. If you liked this story, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to hear more. Take care, and until next time, keep smiling and stay kind.